Brian Carazia, well known as Low Roar, the name you choose for your art research and your aesthetic research. Your background is very particular. You left the sunny California and directed to the ice and heath of Iceland. Can I ask you why? Was it a kind of...
I married an Icelandic girl.
And was it also the change, your geographic atmosphere changed? Did it reflect on your music and your choices?
It definitely reflected on a certain part of it, because it was my first kind of solo thing. Because I was actually alone, I didn't have friends that were playing music or anything, so when I decided to start writing, everything was completely alone. And then all of a sudden I had this album, which I probably did within the first few months that I was living there, and then just left it. And then my friend Andrew messaged me and said, "Hey, what have you been up to?" And I said, "I think I wrote a record." And he said, "Well, I'll start a little record label and put it out. Probably not, you're not going to get any money. I don't know how to do it, but I'll press it on CD and vinyl." I said, "Yeah, well, that's fine. I'm not expecting anything from it." And that was that. That was the beginning of it.
I don't know if it's true, I read that that first album was originated by a constant and daily effort to write something new. Is it true? Was it like that?
It's close. But it's, I just never spent more than a day on one song. So if I started like Friends Make Garbage or something, I finished it that day. So I would just do it all within a short amount, and then I left it. So I didn't want to do one of the things where, you know, people sometimes can spend weeks, months, years on recording, and then they over-listen, they start to think about it too much, and they continue to start to change it, and it loses its core where it was. So I just wanted to like get that emotion out and then let it go, kind of. So that was the thing. It was just because I've had friends that have worked on albums for 5-6 years and they just keep changing, and then they write more songs that they think are better and those ones go away. So I just didn't want to do that. So.
And is it a kind of method that you also practiced again in the following albums, or?
Kind of, like subconsciously. Well, I didn't really think about it like that, but I would do these little pieces and then go into the studio and I'd have the piece, and then that day we would just spend on that song, and I'd start to develop it, and then we knew, then by the end of that day when we walked away, we knew what it should be. That's kind of, it's kind of been like that now since then, yeah.
You published 4 albums. The last one is Ras Dot.
Yeah.
And it seems to be kind of a more maybe intimate, more folk album. It's strange because on the one side it seems more fragile, so with less instrumental groove. But on the other hand, it seems to be even more solid than the previous one. Is it something that you may agree on?
I think that kind of just happened as well, because when I moved, I was living in Poland, you know, when that one happened, and all I really had with me was an acoustic guitar. So I wrote them kind of just on that. But yeah, no, I didn't really think about it that much. I wrote some pieces, and then I went to meet my friend Mike in Margate in the UK, and I showed him what I had. And then we did the same thing one day, just like, all right, and it was like, slow down.
Yeah,
that
sure.
was, I had just the guitar, and then the next day he was like, you know, I want to record the song, and all I had was the I need to slow down part, but I didn't have the words. So I woke up in the morning and I was like, shit, like Mike really wants to work on this song today, and those words just came out. Like 20 minutes, I just wrote them all out. What was kind of I was feeling at that time anyways, and we went downstairs. I sat in his living room, played the guitar, did the vocals. I remember his girlfriend, or now his fiance, left at 9 in the morning. She came back by 1, and we had the song all there, except for the sax and stuff.
And Slow Down actually seems to be, the lyrics Slow Down seems to actually represent actually the album. It's kind of a moment of slowing down and reflecting.
It's weird that it kind of reflects right now as well, like this time.
Yes.
And I didn't think of it in that time. And There's a line, I was thinking about it yesterday and I said this because there's a line in it that says, you know, the audience doesn't stare at me the same way anymore.
Yeah, sure.
And these last few shows, you know, everybody's wearing masks.
Sure.
So they're looking at me like this.
Covered.
So it wasn't the same. And yeah, but that song came towards about the middle of the making of that. I think we spent like 10 days.
Actually, during the lockdown due to COVID and to this pandemic, your concerts have never been cancelled. So they were just maybe postponed. In any case, they were organized. So I wanted to ask you how you felt in that moment, in those periods, in those strange moments and weird, tragic moments, and why did you choose to go on? So to trust that you would have.
I didn't want to believe it, you know, that I thought by then it was just going to fold over, which is a funny thing because I think now everything has been rescheduled for next year. But you know, in the media, and originally when this all happened, everybody was looking here at Italy like, oh, it's the worst there. And Italy is the only place that didn't cancel the shows. They like kept them. And I was just waiting for that phone call, just like, it's not happening, they're canceling. And it never happened. And then all of a sudden, like I didn't practice before this tour. I was depressed, like didn't play, I didn't know what was gonna happen. I was just waiting for that call and then it never came. And then all of a sudden, now I'm here.
Yeah, sure.
It's
a kind of a
interview
resilience also, slowing down to resist.
Yeah.
You were saying before that you were living in Poland, that you recorded in UK.
Yeah.
So is it kind of an urgency also to be constantly wandering in your case?
The reason I did 3 and 4 in the UK is because Mike, my good friend who I was recording with in Iceland, he moved back to England.
Okay.
So that happened because of that. And then it was when we were starting Once in a Long While, where I was starting writing that. I had got divorced by then, Mike had moved, and I thought, I ended up in Poland and I just thought I could live here. So
and in this last album you also collaborated with Andrew Sheps, so the Grammy
all of
Award
them.
winning.
He's the one that started the label for me.
Okay.
He's like my dad. Basically, I'm his adopted son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's what they say, because him and his wife take care of me more than they probably do their own kids. Yeah.
You chose a very
good
father,
he's a good one. Yeah.
And may I ask you, why you choose your name, Low Roar?
Okay, so did I choose Low Roar for a certain reason?
As a name, and also if I can ask you the name, the album title. So
yeah. So
why
Low Roar.
Ross Dot?
Okay, so I'll tell you the real story that nobody knows. Low Roar happened because I got drunk. I came home. My wife was asleep, and I had started this record, and I was thinking of a name, and I wrote Low in, but I knew there was a band called Low then. And then I saw this picture of a deer blowing birds out that a friend of mine had done, and I just typed it, and I liked the way it looked, and I sent it to a friend of mine. I said, what do you think of this name? And they said, it's great. So I said, all right, that's it. And Ross is one of the names of like one of my first best friends I can remember in my life. But that's not why I named it this. The guy who played the sax and the clarinet on this album, he was playing it and he was wearing something like this, but with these white Reebok shoes. And he was recording the sax and he had his leg up, kind of like a stereotypical sexy sax guy, you know? Mm-hmm. And after he finished that part, which I believe was on Slowdown, I said, well, fucking hell, like that was great. I'm gonna name the album after you. Okay. And he's like, all right. And then I thought, he doesn't actually think I'm gonna do it. So I did it.
Okay.
But I put it in lowercase.
Yes.
With a dot at the end.
Yes.
And I was like, the way you looked when you play it, it can't just be Ross. It has to be like Ross, period.
Yes.
And it's gotta be a lowercase r. And so I did it, and then I sent it to him. He didn't believe I'd actually do it.
And about Ross, there is a beautiful picture you choose for as a cover album. Where was it shot? Was it
Where we recorded the album.
okay?
So that little area, we would walk there in all our breaks. You know, when we take a little break, we'd walk through that dock. There was a little pub at the end,
Yes.
a little fish and chip place, and all kinds of stuff. So that's where we spent all the time making it.
It's a
So,
beautiful
but that
place.
picture is from like the early 1900s, of course. But yeah, so it all looks familiar. So I thought, Ross and Mike were good friends. Ross was not from far away. This is all done here, so why not just have the whole thing kind of encapsulated in that? Which is another reason why I wanted like a sun gold and yellow vinyl, because I wanted it to look like when you pulled it out, because it looks a little gloomy. When you pull it out, it looks like the sun's kind of coming out.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
Your music has been chosen as a score for Death Stranding, the video game.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I'm curious to know what you think about the art of video gaming, of creating video games, and how do you think it combines actually with your music?
Well, I mean, of course I respect it, but I've never been a gamer. I don't have any video game systems. I don't play them. I think the last one I had was a Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
And I think it was just for GoldenEye, Ocarina of Time, and Mario Kart 64. But of course, yeah, like I respect it, but I didn't know much of it when the thing came that, hey, you know, there's this guy named Hideo Kojima and he wants to have dinner with you. I was like, I don't know who he is. Can you just go have dinner? And like, then I heard my old manager's husband in the background, and he said, Ryan, you're a dumbass. And I was like, all right, I'll call you back. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay, so this is like something that's happening. So.
And how was it to hear your music on those images?
I haven't really, besides the trailer, because I haven't played the game.
Yeah.
So I've just seen a few things that people have posted with like Norman Reedus running through the fields of Iceland with a baby on him or something. But I know they used a lot of songs. I think it's like 17 or 18 songs. So it's really cool. I mean, it's brought a whole different thing. Are you going to be here tonight?
Yep.
Okay, so tonight you'll see when I say, because I'll probably say it like, how many of you guys know me from a video game? Probably going to be a few people. I'm signing a lot of video games.
Oh, sure,
I'm signing as many video games as I am albums now.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was a good
Yeah,
shot.
it was cool. Yeah.
Was it the first time you came to Italy for a tour, for a concert tour?
No.
You already came?
We were here in December.
Okay. And how did you find the Italian audience to you?
Yeah, really good actually. And then I said backstage, I think two shows ago, the second show, said I think this is my new favorite place. But but it's a different time, because of what's going on.
Yeah, sure.
So, but everybody was just like really quiet during this. Although I do have one funny story. Should I tell a funny story?
Sure.
Just get on.
Sure.
Last night in Milan, there was an old man who was doing a 4-hour karaoke gig on the other side of this little forest. Okay. So as I'm singing, I can hear like somebody singing Hallelujah in Italian, like across the forest. And so every time I'd stop, you could hear him, and the whole audience, we'd all laugh about it together.
Yeah, sure.
Just couldn't get him to stop. So
That was in Milan.
that was last night.
Okay.
Don't think it'll happen tonight. But
So we thank you.
But it's been great. Yeah.
So we thank you very much for having given us your time and your availability, and hope you will enjoy your Italian tours and audiences.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Shines my brightest light.